Okay, so good day everyone. So in this recorded lecture, we will connect two major topics in analytical chemistry. So the fundamentals of electrochemistry and the use of redox reactions in titrimetric analysis. So in the first part, we will build the language of redox chemistry. So we will learn uh, how electrochemical cells produce energy or consume energy, specifically electrical energy, and see how cell potential is linked to free energy, equilibrium, and concentration. In the second part naman, we will use those ideas to understand redox titrations with permanganate, dichromate, iodine, and thiosulfate. So as you go through this lesson, keep one big idea in mind na chapter 16, ayan, nakalagay dito, no, is not separate from the chapter 14. Though separate sila sa ating reference. Yung reference pala natin is Quantitative Chemical Analysis by Daniel Harris, 9th edition, no? So, i-download nyo na lang itong book to get yung iba pang mga references, no? Redox titrations are simply electrochemistry put to work for quantitative analysis. Yung application ng chapter 14. So, hindi siya separate talaga. So, when we talk about indicators, titration curves, or endpoint potential later on, those are all consequences of the same ideas we develop here about half reactions, electrode potentials, and yung Nernst equation. So, yun. Let's go through now yung lecture roadmap natin. So, here's our roadmap for today. So, in part 1, we will start with oxidation and reduction, then move into galvanic and electrolytic cells, then standard reduction potentials, standard hydrogen electrode, cell notation, and the equation that let us calculate voltage under standard and non-standard condition. Yun yung Nernst equation. Actually, diniscuss na ito dapat sa inyo nung Chem for engineers nyo, no? So, after that, we will briefly connect those ideas to reference electrodes, electrode types, batteries, and electrolysis. Actually, yung week 16 lesson, somehow connected din dito, no? Pero separate na lang natin siya. So, in part 2 naman, we will shift na doon sa redox titration. So, we will ask what makes redox titration analytically useful, how the half reaction method gives the correct stoichiometric relationship. So, dito rin malalaman natin how indicators and potentiometric methods find the endpoint. Yun naman yung kailangan natin. And how specific titrant systems behave sa actual practice, no, or applications. You will also notice that may mga work examples dito. And dito sa recorded lesson natin, yun yung dapat i-focus natin and i-practice sa ating mga problem set. Okay? We now begin with part 1. So, electrochemistry studies the relationship between chemical change and electrical energy. So, sa book natin, yung chapter is introduced through practical systems such as the lithium-ion battery. But the real teaching goal here is much broader, no? To show that a redox reaction has a measurable electrical driving force. So once that driving force is expressed as a potential, it becomes something we can calculate, compare, and use analytically. So as we proceed, do not think of electrochemistry as only batteries, ganon. So think of it as a quantitative language ng ating redox reactions. So the potential of a cell tells us which direction nagpo-flow yung electron, kung gaano kalakas yung reaction, at ano yung nagda-drive dito, and how concentration affects yung force na yun or yung direction ng reaction, and whether a chemical change is suitable for analysis. Okay? So let us begin with the review, no, ng essential definition. So when you say oxidation, it is a loss of electrons, and reduction is gain of electrons. Those are the process definitions, no? And hopefully alam niyo na yan. When we speak about the agents, so iba yung agents, no? So oxidizing agent is the species that gets reduced. doon sa ating reaction because it causes another species to be oxidized. Gets? So, si oxidizing agent, nagkakos siya para mag-oxidize yung isang species. So, siya ay nare-reduce. So, the reducing agent naman is the species that gets oxidized because it causes another species to be reduced. So, typically, no, kayo mga students, minsan na paghahalo natin yan. So, I recommend saying the phrase na the oxidizing agent is reduced and the reducing agent is oxidized. So, in reference din natin, no, na-emphasize niya na every redox process contains both halves at the same times. Yung tawag natin half reactions. So, you cannot have a substance lose electrons unless some other substance gain them. So, that is why redox chemistry is so naturally analyzed with half reactions. Kaya tayo may half reactions. So, oxidation numbers helps us recognize whether a species is being oxidized or reduced. But the electron bookkeeping is clearest when we write explicit half reactions. Kapag sinulat natin yung mismong reaction, mahirap siyang isipin mentally. So, eto, makikita niyo dito yung pattern, no? Or yung mnemonics. So, like oil rig or Leo says Jer. So, maano lang yan, mabilis ang memory aid lang para sa inyo. So, oil rig, oxidation is loss, reduction is gain. Dali siya matandaan. Okay? So, yung half reaction method, ito yung bookkeeping natin ng electron transfer, no? Dito natin malalaman saan napupunta yung mga electrons. So, we separate the overall redox processes into an oxidation half and a reduction half. Okay? So, the balance atoms first. Yung una natin gagawin, babalance muna natin yung atoms. Then, oxygen with water and hydrogen with hydrogen ion in acidic solution. Okay? And finally, babalance din natin yung charge by adding electrons. No? So, yun yung steps. Then, only after both half reactions are balanced, doon lang natin siya i-combine. Okay? So, tingnan nyo yung logic dito. So, matter must be balanced, no? Diba? Sa conservation of mass. So, ganun din sa charge, no? So, very common mistake is to balance yung atom correctly. Then, i-stop na dun, no? Even though the total charge on the two sides is not the same. So, dapat maging consistent tayo dito, no? Sa pag-balance ng ating half reactions muna bago natin sila combine. Okay? So, mapapansin nyo sa mini example natin dito, no? So, 1 iron 3, paano ba ipo-point sa inyo ito? Okay. So, ito. So, 1 iron, 3 ion gains 1 electron. So, makikita nyo dito sa part na to, no? Nag-gain siya ng electron. Ito, makapal siya. So, nag-gain siya ng electron to become iron 2. So, iron 3, nag-gain ng electron, naging iron 2. Okay? So, ito yung part na yun. And then, yung tin, no? Yung tin naman, loses 2 electrons to become tin 4. So, nag-lose siya ng electrons. Tin 2 plus, nag-lose ng electron to be tin 4. So, because the electron transferred must be equal, so kailangan equal yung electron transfer, no? Yung iron half reaction natin o yung reduction half reaction natin, i-multiply natin siya by 2. Okay? I-multiply natin siya by 2 para mag-equal yung dalawang electron. Kasi sa tin, dalawang electron yung na-lose. Okay? Bago natin sila i-combine, no? Then, when we combine, ito na yung magiging complete reaction nila. So, the final net reaction has no electrons in it. So, makakancel yan. So, para lang kayo nag-add ng what do you call that? Para na kayo nag-add ng ganyan. So, ito ay multiply nyo by 2. So, magkaka 2Fe3 na. Tapos, Magkakaroon ng 2 electrons dito, makakancel yung dalawang electron. Okay? Kaya siya nawala dun sa ating net reaction. Okay? So, ububurahin ko muna siya kasi magulo siyang tignan. Okay. So, next. So, this is just a review for you guys. Kaya talaga kinumbine ko lang siya. Itong week 14 tsaka 15. Okay. Now we classify na yung electrochemical cells. Number 1, a galvanic cell, also called voltaic cells. Lagay natin dito. Voltaic cell. Nalagay ba dyan? Hindi na. Okay. So, it uses spontaneous chemical reaction to generate electrical energy. In contrast naman, an electrolytic cell uses an external power supply to force a non-spontaneous reaction to occur. Okay? So, yung distinction nila, central siya sa concept na to, no, sa topic na to. But, two electrode definitions never change, no? Which is yung cathode is always the site of reduction and anode is always the site of oxidation. Though mayroon tayong types ng cell, etong cathode and anode concept, hindi yan magbabago. So, this is exactly where many students become confused, no, sa pag-remember ng cathode tsaka anode, no? So, the cathode is the positive in the galvanic cell, then incorrectly na-assume na it must always be positive, no? Hindi siya ganun. So, yung sign ng galvanic cell, nagde-depends on the type, kung anong type ng cell siya, no? Tapos yung reaction definition, hindi naman siya nagbabago. So, in a galvanic cell ulit, electrons are produced at the anode. So, tandaan nyo na, galvanic cell electrons are produced at the anode and flow spontaneously to the cathode. Okay? Then, in electrolytic cells, the power supply pushes the electrons in the opposite direction needed for non-spontaneous process, no? So, gumagamit ng other supply para mag-proceed yung non-spontaneous since hindi nga siya spontaneous. So, memorize niyo yung reaction, no? Hindi lang yung sign, no? Ano ba dito? Meron ditong memory aid, no? Red cat and ox. So, reduction at cathode, oxidation at anode. So, yan. Mga mnemonics. Okay. Yan. So, cell notation naman is a compact way of writing the full electrochemical system. So, by convention, the anode is written on the left and the cathode is on the right. Okay? So, a single vertical line, makikita nyo dito sa example, no? Represents, no, a phase boundary. Then, yung double vertical line represents yung salt bridge or junction. And yung species in the same phase are separated by commas. So, gagamit tayo ng commas para sa phase changes. So, in the example on the slide dito, makikita nyo, cadmium metal on the left is oxidized to cadmium ion. Ito. Okay? While silver ion on the right is reduced to silver metal. Okay? Parang ito yung nire-represent niya. Pero ito, zinc tsaka copper kasi ito. Okay? So, yung salt bridge, may essential role ang salt bridge. So, it explains, yung sa reference natin, in-explain niya yung electrons move through the wire, diba? May wire kasi. But ions must move through solution, no? Hindi naman sa wire mag-move yung solution na ay yung mga ions natin, no? Through the solution. So, without ion migration, yung charge, magbi-build up yan, and hihinto yung ating flow ng electricity or yung current. So, in salt bridge, pinapreserve niya yung electron neutrality by allowing counter ions to migrate kung saan sila kailangan. Okay? So, in practice, saturated potassium chloride, KCl, usually, or potassium nitrate, is often used because yung ions nila have similar mobilities, no, and help the junction potential small, no? Hindi siya masyado nakaka-contribute sa total potential ng system. So, whenever you read cell notation, train yourself na i-translate siya sa three things. Yung ano yung na-oxidize, ano yung nare-reduce, and which direction yung electrons ay nagmo-move. Okay? So, ganun ko mag-drawing ng or magsulat ng cell notation. Okay. So, yung standard reduction potential naman, or makikita nyo siya sa gantong sign, E naught. Ito, yan. Okay? Standard reduction potential. So, it is assigned to a half reaction written as a reduction. So, ano to? Tabulated to. Nasa next slide yung table ng standard reduction potential. So, constant siya. Okay. Very helpful to because nag-create siya ng reference table for us, no? Para hindi natin siya laging dinedetermine. So, a more positive standard reduction potential, sabihin ko na lang E naught. More positive E naught means a greater tendency for that half reaction to proceed as a reduction. Okay? More positive, magpo-proceed as a reduction. Okay? In other words, the more positive the tabulated reduction potential is, the stronger the oxidizing agent on the left side of that half reaction. So, yung mga potentials, relative siya. So, we need to have a reference point. So, dito sa nakikita yung figure, no? So, yung reference is yung standard hydrogen electrode or SHE or SHE, okay? Yung potential niyan defined as, ayun, nakalagay sa drawing, no? 0 volts siya, no? At 25 degrees. So, other half cells are measured against this standard. Syempre, at standard condition yan. Kaya nga siya standard hydrogen electrode, no? Ano pa ba? So, if ito yung 0 point natin or reference point natin, no? So, lahat nung iba't ibang types ng standard reduction potential, sa kanya nakadepende, no? So, whether positive or negative yan. Makikita nyo dun sa table later on. Okay? So, makikita nyo dun sa dito, sa ibang example, no? So, meron din silang kanya-kanyang standard reduction potential. Nakadepende nga siya sa dito, sa SHE, no? Nakadepende siya dun. Parang ano lang, sa mga normal measurements. So, meron tayong standard na tinatawag. Okay, ito yung table na sinasabi ko kanina, no? So, may oxidizing agent, tas may corresponding reducing agent siya. So, ito yung mga corresponding standard reduction potentials. Okay? So, let's apply itong table to. So, ito yung problem sa taas, di ko na siya babasahin, no? So, we are given two reduction half reaction, silver ion to silver. Okay? Tapos, yung reduction potential niya ay positive, 0.799. And cadmium ion naman to cadmium with a more negative reduction potential, negative 0.402. So, the more positive reduction potential identifies the cathode and cadmium is the anode. So, dun sa reduction potential, makikita rin natin kung ano siya, kung cathode ba siya or anode, no? So, use natin yung formula ng E naught. Cell is equal to ito. E naught cell is equal to E naught cathode minus E naught ng anode. So, notice that we do not change the sign in the table first. Then, we add, no? After. Makikita nyo dito. So, nilista naman na natin. Na-identify natin ano yung anode, ano yung cathode. Then, we add. We do not change the sign. Okay? So, here we have 0.799 minus negative 0.402, giving positive 1.201 volts. So, this positive sign tells us that the cell reaction is spontaneous as written. Kailangan natin matandaan dito sa part na to yung isang rule na do not multiply E naught by stoichiometric coefficient dito sa type ng problem na to, no? So, potentials are intensive quantities. So, hindi siya dapat na-apektuhan ng mga number of moles, ganyan. Even though 2 silver ions are reduced, makikita na 2 silver ions are reduced dun sa balance equation natin. Ito. No? Kahit dalawa siya, yung reduction potential ng silver half reaction will remain at this kahit ilang moles pa yun nandito. Okay? Ilang yung kailangan yung tandaan dito sa slide na to, sa example na to. Okay, balik tayo sa previous lessons. Yeah. So, we now connect dito yung electrochemistry tsaka thermodynamics. So, sa reference natin, pinapresent yung relationship between free energy and cell potential, no? Direct relationship nila. So, delta G, ito yung formula, no? Delta G naught is equal to negative NF E naught cell, no? So, this equation tells us that a positive cell potential corresponds to a negative free energy change, okay? Which means na yung reaction natin is spontaneous under standard conditions kapag negative ang ating delta G. So, the physical meaning, nagmamatter yan, no? Yung physical meaning. So, voltage is not just a number from a measuring device. So, it represents the amount of electrical work available per unit charge. Okay? Amount of electrical work available per unit charge. Okay? So, if the potential of the cell potential is positive, yung chemical reaction natin can push electrons through the external circuit. And, yun, ma-apply niya yung, or magagawa niya yung application niya. So, that is why, no, yung galvanic cell natin can power a device. So, if the potential naman is negative for the reaction as written, so work would have to be supplied, no, from outside sources or external power sources. So, the process would belong to electrolysis. No? Hindi siya galvanic cell. So keep yung number of moles dito, no? Tandaan yan. So, it is number of moles of electron transferred in the valence overall reaction. So, dito natin kaya i-consider number of moles or not, no? So, check natin yan later, no? Hindi siya yung coefficient from just one half reaction unless that already matches the final balance cell reaction. Okay? So, yung F naman, ayan yung constant, no? Constant yan. Itong value na ito. So, yun yun. Amount of electrical work per unit charge, no? Which is in C. Okay, let's apply. So, using the cadmium silver cell again, no, from the previous example, we now substitute into delta G naught is equal to yung formula, no? Negative NF E naught cell. So, the balance reaction transfers 2 moles of electrons per mole of reaction. Okay? Saan nakuha yun? So, dito yun, no? Sa silver ions natin. Okay? So, dun galing yung number of moles. So, Faraday's constant, yung F. So, given naman yan. Then, yung ating standard cell potential, which is na-compute natin kanina, 1.201. So, because 1 volt is 1 joule per coulomb, so, the units work out cleanly to joules per mole, no? Diretso na yun. Okay? So, after substitution, the result is negative. So, ito yung pinaka-formula. Apply natin siya. So, ito lang yung kaninang units. So, NFE. So, bakit naging joules per mole? Yun nga, 1 volt. Lagyan natin dito. 1 volt is equal to 1 joule per coulomb. Okay? So it's like 1 joule per mole. Okay? Kaya naging joule per mole na dito. Tapos, yan, i-calculator nyo lang siya. Dapat ang makuha nyo ito. No? Final answer is this. So the result is negative 231.8 kilojoules per mole. So mamaya magtaka kayo ba't naging kilojoules. So conversion lang yan, no? From joules to kilojoules. Para yung number mas maliit. Tsaka ma-follow nyo yung significant figures. So syempre yung constant, hindi kasama significant figures. Okay, the negative sign is not just a detail. Hindi lang siya detail, no? So malalaman natin dun sa sign na under standard condition, malalaman natin siya if it has a capacity to proceed spontaneously and deliver electrical work. So in this case, totoo siya, no? So yung negative value ng delta G, favorable siya, no? Within that standard condition. So yun yung point itong example na to, no? A spontaneous chemical reaction produces positive voltage and the same process corresponds to a negative free energy. Negative free energy. Ito yung delta G natin. Okay? Gives energy. So if you ever lose track no ng mga sign, i-double check nyo lang, no? Based dun sa logic ng question. Kung dapat ba talagang ganun yung nag-work or hindi, no? Based dun sa mga previous given. So a working galvanic cell should not give you a positive delta G. Okay? Yun lang yung tandaan nyo dun for spontaneous forward reactions. Okay? So, kanina pa natin minimension yung standard condition. While useful naman siya, yung mga totoong cells, no? Really, hindi naman siya nag-function under standard condition, no? So, that is why itong next equation na to, or pangalanan na natin na Nernst equation, important siya, no? So Nernst equation is an expression, no, of the net driving force for a redox process under actual conditions, hindi na siya standard conditions. So the general form is E is equal to E naught minus RT over NF times the natural logarithm of Q. So medyo may similarity siya sa no? Equation din ng may RT tas logarithm sa Gen Chem nyo. So yun yung general form niya. So at 25 degrees Celsius, it becomes E is equal to E naught minus 0.05916 over N times the logarithm or the natural logarithm of logarithm na, hindi na siya natural logarithm. The logarithm of Q. So kasi may value na yung RT, no? RT tsaka F at 25 degrees. So sinupply na yun. Kaya naging 0.05916. Okay? So yung crucial dito is that the logarithmic term is the reaction quotient. Okay? So, yung cell potential, nag-change siya when the ratio of products to reactants changes. No? Since quotient nga siya. So, pure solids, pure liquids, and solvents are omitted. Same naman. Because their activities are unity or equal to 1. Yun. Ano pa ba? If the Q becomes larger, yung Q value na yan, meaning, yung system natin, nagko-contain siya ng more products, no? And yung potential bababa. Yun lang yun. Then, it also fits the Le Chatelier principle and reinforces that Nernst equation is really a quantitative expression of kung saan kung ano fini-favor ng reaction, kung products or reactants ba. So, babalik ulit tayo dun sa balancing, no? Okay, apply natin yung formula. So, ganun ulit. Dun ulit sa ating cadmium silver cell. Under naman to ng non-standard condition, no? Kanina standard condition. So, from the balance reaction, balik ulit tayo sa balance reaction natin. So, cadmium metal plus 2 silver ions, yan, will yield cadmium ions plus the silver metal natin. And the reaction quotient is cadmium ion divided by reaction quotient divided by silver ion squared. Bakit may squared? Kasi meron tayong N na 2 sa silver. So, yung given, meron tayo nito. Kinuha natin to. Concentration ng silver given sa problem yan. Tsaka concentration ng ating cadmium, no? Then, meron tayong temperature, 25 degrees Celsius. Okay. So, una natin kukunin yung Q. So, yung quotient. So, concentration ng cadmium divided by concentration ng silver ions squared. So, value is 1,000. Tapos, i-apply natin yung formula for E, cell potential. So, that is E0 or standard cell potential minus 0.05916 divided by 2. So, ano yung 2? Yung number of electrons na nag-move, no? Then, log of Q, log of 1,000. So, dapat ang makuha nyo dyan ay ito, final answer. So, positive. Important sa final answer, no? Lalagay nyo kung positive or negative, no? Hindi siya dapat ganito lang. Dapat ilagay nyo talaga kung positive or negative. Lalo na pag lesson natin ay electrochemistry, okay? Sa electrochemistry lang yan. Important siya. Okay, na may positive. Kung positive. Negative naman yan. Okay. So, kuha na natin yung sagot niya. So, makikita nyo, no? Yung overall chemistry, nagme-make sense naman given na yung mga previous natin kinalculate. So, when the product concentration is relatively large, so ano ba yung concentration ng product natin? 0.1 molars, no? Ito yung pinaka-product, ito yung reactant natin na may concentration, no? So, ito yung compare mo, no? So, when the product concentration is relatively large and the reactant concentration is relatively small, no? Forward reaction has less remaining driving force. So, the cell potential is lower than the standard potential. So, yung standard cell potential natin is 1.2, di ba? Tapos, itong cell potential natin is 1.1 lang. So, lower siya sa standard. So, yun lang yun. Okay? So, yung next step naman is one of the most powerful connections, no? Which is at equilibrium, there is no net driving force. Equilibrium nga siya. So, the cell voltage is actually 0. Okay? So, at that moment, the reaction quotient has become the equilibrium constant na, or K. Hindi na siya Q. So, substituting those conditions in the Nernst equation can leads to the relationship of log K, logarithm of K, or equilibrium constant, is equal to, itong formula na ito, no? N E0 cell divided by 0.05916. Tandaan nyo na ito ay at 25 degrees Celsius. Okay? So, this tells us, no, that strongly positive standard cell potential corresponds to a very large equilibrium constant or value of K. So, in analytical chem, that matters nagmamatter siya talaga because yung titration reaction should go essentially to completion, no? Para magkaroon tayo ng tamang analysis. Okay. Using the same reaction, no? Once more, makikita natin, no, kung paano nag-stand out yung math dito. So, we substitute N equals to N E0 cell equals to 1.201 volts. Okay, yun yung mga given into the equilibrium formula. Then, that gives us log K is equal to 40.60. no? Yan. So, direct substitution lang naman. Okay. So, converting from logarithmic form, the value of or the equilibrium constant is approximately 4 times 10 to the lucky 40th, no? So, napakalaking number nito, no? Makikita nyo siya. So, it means the reaction lies overwhelmingly to the right under standard condition, no? Favor sa products natin. So, very little reactant remains at equilibrium. So, when you see a redox titration later, no? That is based on a large potential gap between titrant and analyte. Makikita, ito yung underlying reason kung bakit may ganun. Kung bakit nangyayari sa redox titration. Kung bakit mayroong gap, large potential gap between titrant and analyte. Dahil dito. So, makikita natin na talagang very complete yung reaction natin, no? So, yun. Simple lang naman yung calculation dito. Basta alam niyo yun. E not cell, tsaka E cell, and then K and Q. Okay. Actually, ito ay sa week. Tama ba? Week 16 to ng lesson natin. So, to make real potential measurements, so potentiometry. So, we need stable reference electrodes. So, nadaanan natin to kanina, no? Yung mga reference electrodes natin. So, ito, di-discuss natin further sa week 16, chapter 15 ng book na to. So parang overview lang dito sa slide na to because it supports our electrochemistry and titration content or titration topic. So the standard hydrogen electrode is the conceptual 0 point or reference point, but it is not the most convenient reference for routine laboratory work, no? Hindi siya convenient dahil sa kanyang siguro sa setup, ganyan, limitations sa setup. So in practice, common reference electrodes include the saturated calomel electrode, SCE, yan, yung nasa gitna. So abbreviated as SCE. And yung silver chloride. Silver, tapos silver chloride electrode, no? Ag/AgCl. Yan, common tong silver tsaka silver chloride. Silver chloride electrode natin. So, reference electrode in general, no? Valuable siya because its potential is constant and reproducible, no? So, that allows us na ma-measure yung potential ng overall cell natin to reflect changes in the analyte or indicator half cell rather than yung drift lang sa ating reference half cell. So, ninonote din itong reference natin na yung unknown junction potentials can limit the absolute accuracy of potentiometric measurements. But for most analytical purposes, yung analytical reference electrode still gives a stable basis, no, for comparison, no? Okay. So, yan, further, di-discuss natin sa next topic natin. So, for now, ito yung konting computations for standard reference cell or reference cells. So, here we practice, yung reference scale conversion na tinatawag. So, if a potential is reported as negative 0.461 volts versus SCE, so we first move to the standard hydrogen electrode scale because yung SHE natin is common zero reference nga. Since yung SCE natin is positive 0.241 volts versus nung ating SHE, so adding 0.241 to negative 461 gives us minus negative 220 volts versus nung ating SHE, no? Then, to express naman yung same point versus ng ating silver chloride electrode, we subtract the reference value nito, which is yung positive 0.197 volts from the SHE base value. So, yan. So, track lang natin siya. So, that gives us negative 0.417 volts versus the silver chloride electrode. So, the reason that may ganito is because para ma-minimize yung error na. Para alam natin yung deviation natin versus ng ating. So, in this case, no, yung SE, yung deviation niya sa SHE tsaka sa silver chloride electrode, no? Once ma-visualize natin tong reference on one scale, no? Once ma-visualize natin siya, yung conversion natin mas madali natin magagawa, no? So, ito lang yun for conversion ng potential between reference scales. Okay? So, we have different types of electrodes in analytical chem. So, at this point, no, let's organize lang itong mga type na to. So, metallic electrodes respond to their own ions directly. Okay? May mga examples dito sa right side, makikita nyo. So, silver for silver ions. Yan. So, inert metal electrodes naman, such as platinum and gold, do not supply the reacting species. Okay? They simply provide a conductive surface for electron transfer with redox couples in solution. So, let's take note that platinum is common because it is relatively inert. So, usually platinum talaga gamit. And transmit electrons efficiently to and from electroactive species sa ating solution. Usually, platinum makikita nyo sa mga example problems. Next, ion selective electrodes are different. They are not based primarily on redox at a metal surface. No? Instead, a membrane develops a potential that depends on the activity of a selected ion. So, the glass pH electrode is a classic example ng ating sa ion selective electrode, no? And under membrane-based electrode natin. Okay? Ano pa ba? Yung large classification nito is so metal and inert electrodes are redox responsive. Okay? Metals and inert, no? Redox responsive. Okay. Whereas yung ating ion selective electrodes are membrane responsive. Ito. Okay. So, kapag alam niyo yung type na kailangan natin electrode, at least mas madali siya, since yan yung guide natin for that. So, in this slide, no, this is just to remind us na batteries and fuel cells are not just only a laboratory abstraction, no? Ano siya, evidence na application ng electrochemistry. So, a battery is a galvanic cell with a static compartment of reactants, no? Built-in na ito na sa loob na. So, a fuel cell naman, by contrast, has reactants continuously supplied and products continuously removed. So, yung difference ng galvanic battery tsaka fuel cell. Okay? So, that design difference lets us know that a fuel cell keep operating as long as fuel and oxidant are supplied based sa name nga niya, fuel cell. So, ito. Mga examples natin. So, the lead acid battery is historically important because it was the first rechargeable battery. So, in modern life, lithium-ion batteries dominate portable electronics, no? Mga phone natin. Because they store a large amount of energy with rechargeable intercalation chemistry, no? Recharge. So, the broader point for our course, no, dito sa electrochem is that all of these devices are built on the same principle, no, na nalaman natin or natutunan natin from the previous discussions. Oxidation at the anode, reduction of the cathode, measurable potential difference created by chemical driving forces between two half reactions. Yun yung motivation or parang connection nating mga chemists or chemical engineers dito sa application ng electrochem. So when you calculate a cell potential in class, no, or sa exams, you are doing a conceptual work, no, that underlies the behavior of real energy storage devices such as this, no, yung mga na-mention natin. So these are just some examples. Okay. So we now make a short bridge, no, sa chapter or sa next discussion natin sa titration pala, no? So electrolysis kasi appears in dito sa ating PowerPoint, no? Dito sa discussion natin. And isa siya sa mga nagko-complete ng buong lesson natin. So electrolysis is the use of an external power source to drive a reaction that would not proceed spontaneously on its own. So yun yung kanina kong binanggit, no? Electrolysis. So instead of a cell generating electricity, so electrical energy is consumed dito sa process na to para mag-produce ng desired chemical change natin, no? So Faraday's great insight, so si Faraday, ano siyang great insight, no? Which is yung amount of chemical change is directly proportional to the amount of charge passed through the cell. Okay? So we use sa equation, no, we use Q is equal to IT, no, to calculate the total charge and then divide by Faraday's constant to find the most of electron transferred. Okay? Once we know the electron count, so in stoichiometry, sinasabi niya how much substance is deposited, dissolved, or transformed. Yun kasi mga application ito electrolysis. So to put that in practice, so ito. So in this example, copper 2 ion is reduced to copper metal by electrolysis, no? Based dun sa ating half reaction. So we first calculate the total charge pass. So yung kanina kong binanggit. So ano yung mga given? Meron tayong current, yung I, to time, Faraday's constant, and concentration. Or, hindi, molar mass ng copper. Okay? So, with 0.5 amperes for 1,800 seconds, the total charge is 900, no? Q is equal to IT. Next, divide by Faraday's constant to find the moles of electrons. So, divide by Faraday's constant, ito yung moles of electrons, okay? So copper half reaction requires ilang electron? 2, no? Based dito sa ating half reaction, no? It requires 2 electrons per copper atom deposited doon sa ating plate. So, the moles of copper are half the moles of electrons. Okay? The moles of copper are half the moles of electrons. So, multiplying that result, so kaya din-divide yung divide by 2, okay? Kasi the moles of copper are half of the electrons. So, 1/2 ng ating moles of electrons. So, divide by 2, okay? So, ito yung nakuha natin. Moles of copper. Then, multiplying that result by the molar mass of copper gives, so, multiply lang natin sa grams per mole ng copper, gives 0.296 grams of copper deposited, no? Ito yung application ng copper electroplating. Okay? So, we have 0.296 grams of copper deposited. So, this calculation is very structured naman. And, yun, step by step lang naman yan. Aalamin nyo lang yung relationship ng electrons. Moles ng electrons sa moles ng ating kung anong metal ion yung inaalam natin dito or hinahanap natin. So, to help you, charge muna, alamin nyo yung charge, then electrons, then analyte moles, kung ilan yung moles ng analyte, then mass. Okay? Very lang. So, basically, yun na yun, no? Basic introduction natin sa electrochemistry. Then, we will proceed to part 2 na. So, we now move on into part 2, redox titration. So, everything from this point onward depends on the framework we have already built from part 1, no? Redox titrations basically are titrations in which analyte and titrant react by electron transfer, no? So, it may sound simple, but the analytical success of the method depends on the same quantities we have been discussing, no? Reaction stoichiometry, equilibrium constant, potential difference, and how sharply the electrode potential changes near the equivalence point. So as we begin this chapter, remember na titration curve is really an electrochemical curve. The endpoint indicator works because oxidized and reduced forms differ in color over a certain potential range. So potentiometric detection works because a platinum indicator electrode and a reference electrode are sensing the changes, no, on that redox environment. So let's proceed with the principles of redox titration. So a good redox titration requires several things at once, no? The reaction between titrant and analyte must be rapid, the stoichiometry must be well defined, and the reaction should go essentially to completion, no? And side reactions must be either absent or tightly controlled. So our reference also emphasizes that the reaction medium matters. So the same oxidant can behave differently in acidic conditions, neutral or basic conditions, because the reduction products and formal potentials can change, no, based on that conditions. So this is why method design in redox titration is more chemically sensitive than many would expect, no? You do not just pick a strong oxidant and then magta-titrate ka na. So you must first think or ask yourself if the analyte is in the correct oxidation state, and kung yung reaction selective ba, so yung medium ba nasusuppress niya yung interfering hydrolysis or side reactions, and yung endpoint ba madedetect sharply. Yan yung mga requirements, no, for a good method design with considering redox yung environment. So if one of that requirement fails, so kailangan mo siyang ulitin, no? Kailangan mo alamin yung tamang method. So before any redox titration calculation, the reaction must be correctly balanced, no? As we have been discussing. So our reference repeatedly assumes and uses yung habit of balancing the reaction, no? Whether redox yan or chemical reactions. So in acidic solution, ang gagawin is balance oxygen with water and balance hydrogen with hydrogen ion, then balance charge of electrons. Okay? Tapos in basic solution naman, you can first balance in acidic form, and then after mo siyang mabalance, no, sa acidic form, you add the hydroxide na. So add hydroxide to both sides of the equation to neutralize yung hydrogen ion natin. So magdadagdag ka ng hydroxide. Okay? So example natin dito, the permanganate ion reaction on this example. So 1 permanganate ion, yan, 1 permanganate ion in acid accepts how many? 5 electrons to become manganese 2, while iron 2 loses 1 electron to become iron 3. Okay? So that is why yung balance stoichiometry is 1 permanganate to 5 iron, no? 1:5 siya. So yung mole ratio, and ito yung foundation ng redox titration calculation. So we have to practice, no, balancing redox reactions. So, alam ko na-discuss na to sa inyo. So, hindi na natin siya masyadong dadaanan pa. So, hopefully, marunong kayo mag-balance ng redox reactions. So, this is just a overview, review. Okay? Okay, so our reference develops the shape of the redox titration curves by dividing it into regions, no? Before the equivalence point, so the analyte redox couples controls the potential, no? Because excess analyte remains. So, siya muna yung nananaig dun sa solution natin. So, at equivalence point, the couples matter, no? And a special treatment is usually needed kapag sa equivalence point. Then, after equivalence point, the titrant couple controls, no? Yung potential because excess na yung titrant. So, yun lang yung simple terms niya. So, for a simple 1-to-1 redox titration such as cerium for titrating iron 2, yung curve is symmetric near equivalence. And then, pino-point out din ng reference natin that at half equivalence, so yung half equivalence, kalahati ng equivalence, no? The ratio of oxidized to reduced analyte forms becomes 1, no? Yung ratio nila. So, the potential equals the formal potential of the analyte couple. He also explains, or yung reference natin, no, na-explain niya na yung steepness ng ating potential break depends on the difference between the potentials of the two couples, yung analyte at titrant, no? So, the larger the gap, the larger the equilibrium constant, and the sharper yung endpoint natin. That is why yung strong oxidizing and reducing agents usually gives the clearest titration behavior. Okay? So, there are 3 broad ways to find the endpoint in redox titration. So, first, some titrants are self-indicating. So, permanganate is the classic case because the titrant itself is intensely colored, no? Violet yan. Second, a separate redox indicator can be used provided its transition range falls within the steep part of the titration curve. Okay? So, yung third natin na way is yung endpoint can be detected potentiometrically with an indicator electrode such as, yung kanina ko sinabi, platinum and a stable reference electrode, no? So, na-mention din dito yung grand plots, no? Is also a way to locate yung equivalence. Mas precise na malocate yung equivalence point. Especially when the jump is modest or masyadong noisy yung measurement natin. So, the main conceptual rule, no, dito sa endpoint detection must respond in the same potential region where the chemical system changes sharply. Same naman dun sa acid-base titration, complexometric, tsaka precipitation. Dito, more on sa charge or sa potential tayo nakadepend, no? Okay, so if the color change or instrumental response occurs too early or too late, same naman. So, yung endpoint natin magiging bias. So, we have to properly select our indicators. Speaking of indicators, so a redox indicator, so it is a compound whose oxidized and reduced forms has different color, okay? So, ito yung list ng several examples ng redox indicators. So, this includes phenyl-safranin, methylene blue, yung iba nun na nakikita nyo naman sa acid base. So, meron dito mga diphenyline derivatives. So, straightforward naman. Choose an indicator whose formal potential. So, ito yung mga formal potential nila. So, choose an indicator whose formal potential lies within the steep rise of the titration curve near the equivalence, no? So, yung rule na yun nagmamatter yun because yung indicator nag-change na ng color, no? When the solution potential crosses yung indicator transition range. So, kung yung indicator's potential natin, yung inat ng ating indicator is badly mismatched, hindi nagmamatch, sa ating titration system, yung color change, hindi siya magmamark ng true endpoint, no? And also, note natin that may mga special case na, halimbawa, yung starch is not a general redox indicator, no? Yan, starch is not a indicator. Tawag dito? General redox indicator. Specifically used siya sa iodine chemistry, no? Later on, di-discuss natin siya. Because nagpo-form siya ng blue complex sa iodine or triiodine. So, kaya hindi siya nakalista dito sa ating redox indicators. Meron lang siyang special purpose, no, as indicator. Okay, more concepts. So, some analytes are not initially present, no, in a single oxidation state that can be titrated directly. So, dito di-discuss yung adjustment ng analyte oxidation state before titration. So, this can involve, no, yung tinatawag na itong pre-treatment processes or pre-treatment steps. So, it can involve pre-oxidation with reagents such as persulfate, silver 2, sodium bismutate, or hydrogen peroxide. Or it can also be done with pre-reduction. Pre-reduction naman, or di ba kanina pre-oxidation. Pre-reduction naman, pwedeng gawin using stannous chloride, chromium 2, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, or a metallic reductor column. So, ito yung mga different things na ginagamit. So, yung metallic reductor column, ginagamit, or ito yung example na, no, Jones reductor. Yan. So, metallic reductor. So, may base siya ng zinc base siya. Powerful siya as metallic reductor, pero hindi siya selective. So, meron naman tinatawag na Walden reductor. Ito naman more selective on some applications. Yung key analytical issues ng dito is not only making the analyte reach the desired oxidation state, but also removing or matanggal yung mga auxiliary reagent, no, before the actual titration. Otherwise, makaka-apekto sila, no? Yung pre-treatment reagent natin, pwede siya maka-apekto pwede niya ma-consume yung titrant natin, no? Katulad nung example natin sa complex geometric, no? Sa EDTA. Ganun din siya. Pwede siya maka-apekto. At mag-cause siya ng error, no? So, yung sequence is place the analyte in the correct oxidation state, then eliminate excess auxiliary reagent. Then, dun pala mag-start yung titration natin. So, ang isusunod natin, ito na yung mga type ng redox titration, no? Ito na yung actual meat talaga ng lecture natin. Okay. So, ito yung first, no? Potassium permanganate. So, potassium permanganate is one of the most famous oxidizing titrants in analytical chemistry, no? So, in strong acid, permanganate is reduced from manganese 7 to manganese 2. Okay? So, accepting 5 electrons per permanganate ion. So, because permanganate is intensively violet and manganese 2 is nearly colorless in acidic solution, so the titrant is self-indicating na. So, the endpoint is the first persistent pale pink color that does not disappear upon mixing. So, para siyang phenolphthalein. So, it also, itong slide na to, emphasize din na this clean visual behavior depends on the medium na gamit natin, no? Kasi sabi ko doon kanina, in acidic solution. So, in acidic solution, the reduction product is manganese 2, which yun nga, nagbibigay ng clear endpoint natin, no? So, common analyte include iron 2, oxalate, tsaka hydrogen peroxide. So, yun yung mga common na ina-analyze using this method. So, the balanced acid half reaction also sets the stoichiometric factor used in every calculation. So that is 1 mole of permanganate corresponds to 5 moles of electrons accepted. Therefore, to 5 moles of iron oxidized. For example, na kunwari iron yung iron yung gusto nating malaman, kaya titrate natin. Or yung nasa sample natin. So, ulit, 5 moles of iron to oxidized corresponds to 1 mole of permanganate. No? So, ito yung part na yun. Okay? 1, 2. So, to apply that, tayo dito sa ating example. So, an ore is analyzed to determine its iron content. So, after dissolving the sample and reducing all iron to Fe2+, the analyst titrates the solution with, ito yung concentration ng ating permanganate, tapos naka-indicate dyan, in acidic medium. So, a 0.7124 grams of sample natin, ni-require 34.60 ml of permanganate solution to reach the endpoint natin, yung clear endpoint. So, using the reaction, ito yung balance redox reaction natin. Calculate the mass percent of iron in the ore. In the ore. No? Okay. So, let's work on this. No? First, calculate the moles of permanganate. Actually, dito na yung nakasolve na siya. So, first, we calculate the moles of permanganate from its molarity and volume. Moles of permanganate, alam niyo naman na yan, pag yung volume na required, no? Yung titration tsaka concentration niya, makukuha natin yung number of moles ng potassium permanganate or permanganate ion natin. Next, then we use the balance reaction to convert that amount of moles, to moles of iron to, doon natin siya i-relate. So, ang yung sabi ko kanina, isang permanganate ion nagko-correspond sa 5 moles na ating analyte, no? Which is iron. In this case, iron. So, moles of iron will be 5 times the moles of permanganate. So, ito na yung moles of iron natin. Ito yung moles of permanganate natin. Okay? Next. Since nakuha na natin yung moles ng iron natin, we convert na yung moles ng iron to mass using the atomic mass of iron, which is 55.85 grams per mole. So, multiply lang natin yun para makuha yung grams of iron 2 plus or iron na, no? Then, after that, makukuha natin yung percent by mass, no? By dividing sa total mass ng sample natin times 100. So, final answer natin is 27.1%. So, there are 2 places na usually nagkakamali kayo dito. So, una, yun nga, nakakalimutan nyo itong sa part 2, yung stoichiometry. And the other one is yung reporting ng mass of iron. Pero kinakalimutan nyo na i-convert ng percent by mass, no? Pero feel ko malalaman nyo naman yan. Okay? You can also do this, no? I-redo nyo itong pag-solve nang hindi nakatingin dito. Okay? So, now we discuss 2 practical cautions, no, about permanganate. So, first, the reaction medium changes the chemistry, no? So, in neutral or basic media, kanina puro acidic medium na. So, kapag neutral daw tsaka basic medium, permanganate often does not go to manganese 2. Instead, manganese dioxide precipitate or manganate may form kapag dun yung condition. So, changing both the stoichiometry and visual behavior. So, that is why many clean quantitative permanganate titrations are deliberately ginagawa sa acidic conditions talaga. So, second, potassium permanganate is not a primary standard. So, yung isa sa mga issue. So, our reference notes that freshly prepared solution can decompose slowly. So, and impurities may reduce permanganate during storage. So, for that reason, stock permanganate solutions are usually prepared, no? So, it is allowed to stand, then filtered through sintered glass rather than paper. And finally, ini-standardize siya before gamitin. In other words, permanganate is an excellent titrant, but it must be handled with care, no? Or, ayun nga, care. Kasi nga hindi siya primary standard. So, strong oxidizing power does not automatically mean primary standard reliability. So, iba pa rin kapag primary standard yung gamit natin. Okay? Yun lang yung kailangan yung i-note dito. Next na type natin is potassium dichromate, no? It is another classic oxidizing titrant. So, in acidic solution, again, dichromate is reduced to chromium 3, accepting 6 electrons per dichromate ion. Compared with permanganate, dichromate has one major practical advantage. So, it is a primary standard, si potassium dichromate. So, that means its concentration can be prepared accurately by direct weighing and dilution. So, it highlights, itong reference natin, highlights this as one reason dichromate has long been important in volumetric analysis. Actually, ginamit ko to sa thesis ko dati, no? Nung undergrad ako. So, however, dichromate is less visually convenient than permanganate. It is not strongly self-indicating in the same way, no? Katulad ng permanganate. So, an external indicator such as diphenylamine sulfonic acid or diphenylbenzidine sulfonic acid is commonly used, no? As external indicator. The comparison with permanganate is worth remembering, no? Kapag kinumpare natin yung dalawa. So, una-una, permanganate is more visually dramatic but less ideal as directly prepared standard solution. So, dichromate naman is more stable and directly standardizable siya. But typically, kailangan natin ng external indicator. Okay? So, let's work on the example problem using the dichromate method naman. So, ito yung dichromate example natin, no? Structurally similar naman siya sa permanganate example natin. Pero yung stoichiometric factor, syempre iba. So, we start with, di ko nabasahin yung problem, ha? So, we start with calculating the moles, number of moles of chromate from the molarity times volume. So, ito yung part na yun. So, dyan makukuha nyo yung number of moles ng chromate ions natin. Then, we apply the balance reaction, no? Which tells us that 1 mole of dichromate reacts with 6 moles of iron 2. Okay? So, multiplying by 6 gives the number of moles ng ating iron. Ito yung part na yun. Okay? Then, we have to convert yung mass ng yung moles ng iron to mass of iron by multiplying yung kanyang atomic weight. Okay? Which is 55.85. Then we get this. So, the final result is 0.1028 grams of iron in the alico. So, notice, no, how the calculation pattern is stable even though the titrant is nagbago. So, volumes to moles of titrant, moles of titrant to moles of analyte, using the balance equation, then moles of analyte to the requested reporting unit. In our case, yung grams lang yung analyte. So, that is why, no, I keep on repeating that balance reactions are yung nagdidikta ng tama, kung tama o mali yung sagot ninyo. Kung doon pa lang mali na kayo, mali na yung sagot niyo. Okay? So, we have to be careful, no, sa analysis. Next. So, ito na. Punta na tayo dito sa iodine base methods natin. Very important to. No? And may difference yan, no? Iodi tsaka iodometry. Okay. So, iodimetry is a direct titration with iodine, usually present as the iodine triiodide system in excess iodide. Okay. Daming iodine sa word. So, yung analyte is a reducing agent that reacts directly with iodine. Okay? Yun yung iodimetry. Then, sa iodometry, Ito naman, indirect titration to. So, the analyte, often an oxidizing agent, first liberates iodine from iodide. Then, that iodine is then titrated with a standard reducing agent. Usually, thiosulfate yung pang-titrate doon. So, the distinction, very simple lang if you focus on what is measured directly, no? So, in iodimetry, iodine is the titrant, okay? In iodometry, iodine is an intermediate species produced and then measured. So, okay? So, yung pag-treat ng reference natin, no, dito is practical and clear naman. So, it also shows na why excess iodide is useful dito because molecular iodine is only slightly soluble in water. But iodide converts it into a triiodide which is much more manageable, no? Sa aqueous titration chemistry. So, yun yung difference ng dalawa. Okay? Okay. So, yung iodine system natin has few practical rules, no, na worth tandaan. So, molecular iodine is only slightly soluble in water. Binanggit ko na kanina. So, iodide is added to generate triiodide. Okay? So, nag-add tayo ng iodide, no, sa ating molecular iodine para mag-produce nitong I3- natin, no, triiodide. Ito yung nag-i-increase ng solubility niya sa water. So, starch is then used as a visual endpoint because it forms an intense blue complex with iodine species. Okay? So, yun yung pinaka visual endpoint natin. Pero in timing, nagmamatter yan, no? So, we should take note that starch should be added at the start of iodimetry. Okay? Sa iodimetry. So, starch should be added at the start of iodimetry. Whereas, in iodometry, it is best added near the endpoint. So, yun yung difference nila. So, the reason bakit late siya sa iodometry, so, kapag mas maaga mo siyang nilagay sa iodometry, yung iodine can become bound into the starch complex strongly enough to blur the endpoint, no? Hindi natin makikita yung endpoint. So, this is one of those practical details na open na hindi na-highlight. So, second big idea dito is standardization logic, no? So, iodine and thiosulfate solutions are commonly standardized because routine prepared solutions may not be exact enough for precise quantitative work, no? Laging freshly prepared yung mga yan. Okay? So, we move on to the sample problem, no? So, this example shows the power of indirect iodine method. So, copper 2 reacts with iodide to generate iodine and precipitate copper 1 iodide. Okay? So, ito yung equation na binanggit ko. Okay? So, that liberated iodine, yung na-liberate na iodine natin, yung I2. Okay, ito. Yan. Yung na-liberate na iodine na yan, is then titrated daw with thiosulfate. Ito yun. Okay? So, the first reaction tells us that 2 copper ions produce 1 iodine molecule. Okay? 2 copper ions produce 1 iodine molecule. So, ando ko lang kasi gugulo na siya tignan. Okay? Yun yung one. So, the second equation or the second reaction tells us that 1 iodine molecule consumes how many thiosulfate ions? 2 thiosulfate ions, no? So, when we combine those relationships, the net result is a 1-to-1 mole ratio between copper tsaka thiosulfate, no? Kasi parehas 2. So, basically, 1:1 pa rin sila, no? Since same naman yung coefficient. Okay? So, yun lang yun. So, that is one beautiful example, no, ng multi-step titration nitong iodometry. Okay? Okay, ano pa ba? Once na yung thiosulfate solution natin or thiosulfate moles are calculated. Sige. Daanan natin yung example, no? So we have the mass of the sample, we have the concentration of the thiosulfate, and the required volume ng ating titrant. So first, no, calculate natin yung moles ng thiosulfate, which is coming from the volume tsaka concentration. Ayun yung moles ng thiosulfate. So once it is calculated from the concentration and volume, the moles of copper are the same, no? Since in-evaluate na natin na 1:1 lang sila. So, madali natin makukuha yung mass of the copper na hinahanap natin, okay? So first, we get the number of moles ng iodine, no? So that is related to, for every moles ng iodine, ilan ang makukonsume na thiosulfate? 2. So that is half of the moles of iodine, no? So that we will divide the moles of thiosulfate by 2, no? By half. Kasi yung relationship ni thiosulfate tsaka ni iodine. Okay? So we will get na yung moles of iodine. And then we can relate it to the moles of copper. So the moles of copper naman relating to moles of iodine. Ano yun kanina? 2 moles of copper produces 1 mole of iodine. Okay? So with that, 2 times moles ng ating iodine. So babalik lang ulit tayo dun sa kasi nga 1:1 ang moles ng copper tsaka ng thiosulfate, no? Pansin nyo, same sila, no? Okay? So once we get that, pero mahalaga kahit sabihin natin pares sila ng nakadepende pa rin sa overall equation, no? Nagkataon lang na pares sila na 2. So we still have to get this, no? Itong part na to. Okay? So once nakukuha na natin yan, multiply lang natin sa atomic weight ng copper. Then we will get 0.027 grams of copper. Then we get the percent by mass by dividing by the number or by the mass of the overall sample. Okay? That's times 100. Then we get this 8.29%. So, yun yung final answer, no? So, hopefully, ma-apply nyo siya sa laboratory. No? Mas ma-appreciate nyo siya kapag nag-titrate kayo. Okay? So, that's iodometry, no? So, punta tayo dito ngayon sa next, which is yung iodimetry naman. So, simple application ito ng determination ng vitamin C. So, in iodimetry, ano ulit yung sabi ko? Analyte reacts directly with iodine, no? As presented dito sa ating equation, ascorbic acid or vitamin C nag-act as reducing agent. So, it reduces iodine into yan, while being oxidized itself, no? Na-oxidize siya to dehydroascorbic acid. Ito yun, dehydroascorbic acid, no? Ang tanggalan ng dalawang H. So, the balance stoichiometry is 1:1. So, 1 mole of iodine to 1 mole of ascorbic acid. Okay? 1 mole, 1 mole. Okay? So, direct lang yung calculation niya actually. So, determine natin yung moles of iodine from the titrant, concentration, and volume. So, we have the given naman, no? We have the volume of sample, we have the concentration of iodine, volume of iodine required, and the molar mass of ascorbic acid. So, to get the moles of iodine, we just multiply the concentration and volume. Ito yung makuha natin. And then, yun, since 1:1 sila ni vitamin C, so yun na rin yung assume natin na moles ni vitamin C. Now, to get the mass of vitamin C in 25 ml of sample, we multiply the number of moles of vitamin C na nakuha natin sa calculation to the molar mass. And we will get na yung milligrams. In this case, convert to milligrams, no? So, we will get the grams and then convert to milligrams. Usually kasi ganun yung sa nutrition, diba? Naka-milligrams. So, we got 32.4 milligrams. And also naka-ml kasi yan. So, per 100 ml, so we just multiply, no? Kasi ito ay per 25 ml to. Yung 32.4 milligram. So, per 100 ml, yun kasi yung tanong, no? So, per 100 ml vitamin juice of juice. So, per 100 ml times 4 nyo lang. So, we will get 129.6 milligrams. So, that is 129.6 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 ml of juice. So, yun siya. Ganun siya alamin. So, ganyan, tinetest yung mga products, no? Containing this. Kapag may mga nutritional value, ganyan. Ganyan siya ginagawa sa mga planta or laboratories. Okay, we're nearing the end na, no? So, etong slide na to, no? Pinupull together lang lahat ng concepts na natutunan natin so far sa redox titration. So, a useful titrant, no, is not defined only by its strength, redox strength. We also care about yung purity, kung primary standard or not, stability niya, whether it is a, yun nga, primary standard, kung paano siya in-store, and kung gaano siya kadalas dapat i-standardize, no? So, we learned that permanganate is powerful but not a primary standard. Dichromate naman is a primary standard pero kailangan ng external indicator. So, iodine solutions naman usually require careful preparation in iodide-containing media. And thiosulfate solution must also be standardized, no? Bago siya gamitin as titrant ng ating iodine. So, yun. Actually, this is the summary na din ng mga methods sa redox titration. So, tandaan nyo lang, no? Method reliability depends on solution preparation tsaka discipline, no? So, this is more on the lab work. Synthesis na on the lab work, no? More on tips on the lab work. So, yun yung mga kailangan nyo lang tandaan. So, for the key takeaways natin for these chapters, no? So, let's just summarize, no? Chapter 14 or sa week 14 natin. It gives us the language of redox energetics, oxidation reduction, half reaction, galvanic cells, free energy, Nernst equation, equilibrium constant, no? So, chapter 16 or week 15 lesson natin. We took all of those ideas and applied sa electrochemistry. Redox titration, electrochemistry titration tuloy. So, yung unifying concept na maganda talaga na pinagsama natin sila. So, itong concept na ni-unify natin is electrochemistry in analytical form, which is yung application is redox titration. Okay? Ano pa ba? Yun na. Yan, review of work examples before studying under the chapter. Mga ano lang to, key takeaways or tips. So, kailangan nyo lang, kailangan nyo i-practice also yung problem set again, no? Na ibibigay ko for this one. For you to be able to answers, no? During the exams naman. So, yun. Thank you guys for listening and ano pa ba? Yun lang. See you next week for the quiz, no? On week 13.